Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Good afternoon. What is up, guys? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, July 17th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Another big day going on now at Saratoga, and we've got another big weekend ahead of us. This is, this is just a loaded next 6 weeks.
It's I was looking up some stuff earlier, and it's, obviously this weekend is the Haskell Stakes is the headliner, which is a win and you're in for the Classic, and really I started diving into the Classic and the Breeders' Cup more, and it's like, man, we're like 100 days, which is like not that far. It's basically 2 preps, really left as far as a lot of these horses go. So it does, like these next 6 weeks, like you said, which between the Travers, the Jim Dandy, the Haskell, a lot of those races, the Whitney, all these, we're starting to really hone in on not just the Classic division, but just kind of the overall picture as the older horses and, the 3-year-olds. Journalism wins this weekend. He still needs to be Sovereignty, but it definitely keeps his name in the running.
For sure, yeah, gets a good spot. We'll talk about that race a little bit later for sure, and then talk about all the things Haskell. But yeah, I mean, the big boys are back on the track. That's for sure. The next couple of weeks, really 3-4 weeks in a row there, you're going to see some superstar horses, whether it be at Monmouth or at Saratoga or at Del Mar. And Del Mar coming up this weekend as well, getting going there. Always a nice addition to the summer slate for sure. So, yeah, look, I mean, I love that these 3-year-olds, you rarely hear a bad report about them, right? They're all doing great. They're all targeting races coming up here soon. So it's a very, very exciting division.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to, well, we totally are going to jinx it, but it's been pretty, the only time we've missed a race has been by choice. It's not really been like an injury, an issue, anything like that. And so, and furthermore, it kind of feels like not just the 3-year-olds, but the whole division, as far as the Classic division, is starting to even take more shape as we're getting closer. Meaning, like Nysos is starting to kind of, we'll see him in the San Diego. Maybe he becomes a serious player. Seems like he could be. Mind Frame definitely threw his name in the mix there. Sierra Leone is starting to look like he ran. Oh, he certainly did run better in that last effort. Magnitude for the 3-year-old division. Even Torpedo Anna, if whatever you want to say about her, if she's not good enough, she definitely showed she's kind of bounced back last race. It feels like they're starting to kind of round up into form as we get closer and closer there. So.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, Nick Severs chimes in and says the 4-year-old crop that was, so good, talking about the Classic horses, hasn't come back like he had hoped. Well, I do think there's time. Fierceness did come back and run a very good race, and then he got beat, and I think everybody's kind of forgotten about him a little bit, right? But he's pretty good, and I do think he'll come back and run well. And Sierra Leone, he's kind of doing Sierra Leone things again, which that's kind of what he did last year until he got back to top form. So I still think there's time for those horses that maybe have disappointed a little bit early on to make a big statement. And, like you said, you mentioned a couple of other ones that weren't the quote-unquote big horses at the Breeders' Cup, and like Mind Frame, who is a 4-year-old that was a 3-year-old that was pretty good, and he did come back, and he has been successful. So there's still a lot to sort out. The 3-year-old division, I think a lot of people do believe Sovereignty's got that thing locked up, but there's still, journalism, like you said, if he wins the Haskell, all of a sudden he's inching closer. He's still got to beat Sovereignty, but nothing is really locked up because of the amount of horses we have that have shown they're pretty darn good.
Yeah, I tweeted this out earlier. I'll share it here on the screen. Just imagine if we could get this in the Classic. Nysos, Mind Frame, Fierceness, Sierra Leone, Journalism, Sovereignty, White Barrio, Torpedo Anna, Magnitude, and Forever Young. I mean, look at that field, dude. If again, that's like a dream situation. If all these horses point there, stay healthy, that kind of thing. But horses like Sovereignty, Journalism, Fierceness, even Mind Frame, could be Nisos. Those are horses that they show up in this race and say the other ones don't. You're like, wow, that's a beast. But there's several of them that could show up here. This could be not just an insanely good classic, but you look at who could be in here, and we'll see what happens between now and then. But you could have 3-year-old on the line. You could have horse of the year on the line. You could have several different things going into that race.
Absolutely, and that's the way it should be. Last year it kind of wasn't that way. You felt like, but because you had Torpedo Anna that had won, and you kind of felt like it was locked up. But yeah, I mean, this year it feels like Classic will determine horse of the year. Unless Sovereignty wins the Jim Dandy and then he wins the Travers, and then I don't know if the Classic will matter that much, honestly, for horse of the year. But anyway, it's shaping up to just be excellent. And like I said, we always have good horses running in the Classic, but the depth as we sit here July 17th is really good. But CSJ, you stole it right from my mouth. I don't worry about a race in November and July, because I've been in this game a long time. So we may list 12 horses and 3 of them are in the race. So we'll see what happens.
You'd have to be careful listing that out in October,
yeah.
Let alone July. So yeah, lots could change. And again, lots could change in terms of where these horses, even point to. I know, you got to assume several of them, like Sovereignty, Journalism, Forever Young, even, we'll see if Torpedo Anna even shows up in the Classic. I don't think that even if she runs great between now and then, and she shows up in this field, I mean, last year's Classic's one thing. This Classic, that would be a whole other ballgame. But, again, like you said, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But going through and looking at this weekend, being the winning you're in for the Classic, kind of got me thinking, seeing what's coming up down the road. You mentioned earlier Stars and Stripes, maybe throw his name into the hat. He ran earlier today at Saratoga, and if you missed it, ran off the screen for a second straight, ran off the screen effort out of the Belmont barn. He's got another monster. Who knows where that horse will end up next? Pennsylvania Derby. Surely he's not going to end up running, Sovereignty and him in the same race in the Travers. But yeah, the 3-year-old division is it's not losing any steam. I know that much.
Yeah, even those kind of second kind of tier derbies, West Virginia and Indiana and Iowa, they and Ohio, they've all had pretty impressive winners. You know what I mean? West Virginia isn't here yet, but you feel like they're going to be a decent field for all of these, right? So yeah, there's just not an easy spot for a 3-year-old if you've got a good one this year. They're all pretty tough races. But yeah, I mean, Stars and Stripes, another one. I was joking. I don't think he's a Classic horse, but still, I think he's one on the rise, right? I think he'll be in a stakes next. That's a pretty decent sized stakes. So,
yeah.
I mean, my goodness, did he look good today? So, well, and that's a horse that maybe some years you're like, yeah, maybe he could jump up and win the Travers. But this year it's like he's just born in the wrong year. There's too many good ones out and ahead of him. But surely they can find a good spot for him, and I think he'll look good in a stakes next time out.
Well, you could make that same sentence for a lot of the horses born in the wrong year.
Yep.
Journalism, who headline is the Haskell, is definitely one of them. Listen, without Sovereignty, we're talking about I don't want to over qualify. I don't know if I'd say once in a lifetime type horse, but you imagine no Sovereignty. One, it's very, very possible he wins the Triple Crown. Technically he would have, but you know what I mean? You can't go back and change that. But certainly could have. The way he's won these races, say he wins the Haskell, we're talking about this horse is unbelievable. All he does is win races and win. And yet we're kind of sitting there thinking, man, I hope he can win the Haskell to even keep his name in the running for 3-year-old of the year. That's pretty insane.
It is insane, yeah. And look, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for Sovereignty, he would have, won all 3 of the Triple Crown races. And the last horse to win the Triple Crown and then run in the Haskell was American Pharaoh. Yeah. We thought pretty highly of him, if I remember right. So, but look, Sovereignty was there, so that's not the case. But you still have a really good kind of horse and story going into a Haskell that some horses that are getting better, I think, as well. And so that makes it interesting. So look, I think this has been just an incredibly fun year, and I don't think the party's over. I think we got the summer and fall is going to be just as good as what we've seen, because the horses that we've seen are still racing and coming back.
Who's the horse, just put you on the spot, that it's July, but the one of that list I just showed you, and if there's someone else that's not on there, then that's fine. But like, who's one that you're kind of like, yeah, did you?
It's a hell of a race in Saratoga, but anyway, yeah.
Who's the horse that you were like, you would be like, I would put a future on him, meaning like he's kind of growing in obviously sovereignty and journalism, that makes sense. But who's that horse that is it like a mind frame where it's like, you know what, that horse might just be getting better? Is it Nisos that he could be getting better and better and better at the right time at the Classic?
I mean, for me, it's fierceness. I think he's been grossly tossed aside, and I don't think there's any reason to do that. I think the one race he had around 2 turns, he was pretty brilliant. And I think the race going 1 mile on a sloppy track at Saratoga where it's hard to pass, he got beat. So I think fierceness is still the one for me that I like for the Classic. Sovereignty obviously would be up there as well, but I think at the odds that they currently are, I think fierceness is kind of the one that I still think, that's the one I would bet.
Yeah, that's a good answer, actually, because I do feel like he has been unjustified and the kind of how we've disregarded, and it didn't help matters that mind frame has now shot up, right, because of that last performance. So it's kind of like, fierceness who, like who cares? Mind frame's the new coolest thing out of that barn. And so yeah, I do agree that the hate, or I don't want to say hate, but you know what I mean, has gone too far with fierceness. And next race will certainly be a race that he can kind of maybe the ones that forgot, or the ones that have started to kind of say, never mind, maybe remind them a little bit. So yeah, he's definitely one. I wish you could lock in some odds on him right now, because you can't overseas, but because his odds are probably very playable.
Yeah, just for clarification, John White sent us the odds in England right now, and Sovereignty is 7-2. He's the favorite. To me, that's even though I think maybe the day of the race, he might be my play, right? But to bet in July, I just think that's too short on one, right? Where you get fierceness at 10-1. And I think that's a crazy price on a horse that was fantastic last year at the Breeders' Cup. I know he lost, but he ran tremendous. And he defeated the horse of the year in the Travers last year. So I think 10-1's too high on him. So yeah.
You watch, dude. It's gonna be one of the, we've had these brilliant races from Sovereignty and journalism and mind frame and say Nisos and all these horses, and then Sierra Leone will go and peak at the right time and win back-to-back years.
Dude, I mean, he's gonna peak at the right time. It's just gonna be whether he's good enough this year and whether he gets the pace. But I mean, if you don't think that horse is rounded into form, you're crazy, right? I mean, he ran a much better race at Churchill Downs. He's probably going to go up to the Whitney in a track that they have admitted he doesn't really like, and I don't know what'll happen there. He's going to be muddied up again, even worse. But there's no reason to think he's not going to come up and run that big race again, because he's kind of getting back to where he was, and I think he'll be dangerous. But it's going to be what price is he, and can you choke down, knowing, hey, if he doesn't get a fast pace, he can't win.
Yeah. Well, Magnitude making the race would certainly help the camp, I would say, for the Sierra Leone camp, because, Magnitude, a horse that has got all kinds of speed. And so if he were to make it to the race, then obviously could speed it up regardless of who else is in the race. But let's get into the racing for this weekend, because it is, really one of the highlight races of the year, and certainly of the summer, and that is the Grade 1 Haskell at Monmouth Park. We're going to look at that win and you're in for the Classic and give our picks and analysis. Then we're going to do some rapid fire selections For the other Saturday big racing at Del Mar, opening weekend of Del Mar, and of course Saratoga, which has the Coaching Club American Oaks. Can't wait for that one. Let's go. Yeah, there's not a ton of stakes action this weekend, but it's solid. You know, you have the 2-year-old champion, the Phillies champion last year, immersive in that race in the CCA Oaks. They offered the Vanderbilt is insanely good, very fun race there. Of course, you got Del Mar opening weekend, and then the Haskell card. So really, all across the board, the racing again, not a ton. I mean, there are a lot of stakes, but man, it's very top heavy this weekend.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot of racing this weekend all across. It's huge. I think there's a lot of stakes races this weekend, actually. So, Monmouth, I think they've got like 6 or 7 on their card just alone. But it's going to be an interesting weekend just to see how. Well, I mean, I'll wait till we officially talk about the Haskell, because this is going to be the kickoff of a fascinating 4 or 5 week stretch.
Gonna find some answers out, maybe. I don't know what we'll find out this weekend, unless he were to lose. Other than, this should be, we've seen this kind of race before, essentially. But you never know. You kind of keep waiting. At least I do personally, where it's like, gosh, journalism can't keep running in all these tough races. Like, when is that one? When is he going to be like, okay, I'm tired? That race going to come along. It hasn't happened. It hasn't done it yet, but it is in the back of your mind. At least it's in the back of my mind.
Yep. No, for sure.
And yet, the best race of his career so far was the last one, and he got beat, but he certainly didn't seem tired that day. But you know how the Triple Crown Trail can go, and he's the only horse the only horse to run in all 3 legs. And it's not like you said earlier. It's like he can't, without sovereignty, he wins the Triple Crown. So then we're talking about he won the Triple Crown, and so it's like, he's certainly been put through it. The one race he did win, he probably ran 2 races worth there, as much as he got beat up and banged around in the Preakness. So, dude, it's we'll see. But I think you do have to have that thought in the back of your mind when it comes to a horse like him.
I mean, I don't know. I'll wait till we officially start it, but I know what you're saying, but also it's like I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I mean, he hasn't shown that it is. But yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it. Race 12 at Monmouth Park. That's an Hour Bets Haskell Stakes, Grade 1. Worth $1 million, going a mile and 8 for those 3-year-olds. And again, it is a Breeders' Cup win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic this fall at Del Mar. Again, we have the Haskell Stakes betting Bible. The betting Bibles are back. We haven't done one since the aforementioned Belmont Stakes. The Haskell Stakes betting Bible is available right now over at racingdudes.com. More on that here in a bit, but here we go. We have picks for this race in the betting Bible, how we're each playing it. But 4 to 5 on the 2 journalism needs no introduction. Halterman, can he get it done again here?
Yeah, I think he is certainly the horse to beat, a major standout in this race for sure. Just a horse like we've been talking about, just has been a beast, really, all 5 of his races this year. 2 easy wins at Santa Anita, and then, of course, winning the Preakness after almost, going to the ground, and then 2 races where he ran winning efforts and just got beat by Sovereignty, a better horse than him, in the Belmont and in the Kentucky Derby. Now, the good news for him, there isn't Sovereignty. He's not here. Baeza's not here either. Those are the 2 horses. Of course, Sovereignty to be able to beat him, and then Baeza's been fairly close to him in 2 out of 3 races. So, so what do you got to beat? You got to beat those horses you've already defeated in the Preakness when you basically were compromised pretty hardcore and were still able to win. And you got to beat Burnham Square, a horse that's seemingly getting a little bit better and could get better. You got to beat Bracket Buster, who won the local prep very, very, very impressively. So, I mean, this is not I wouldn't call this a layup. I do think these horses are getting better. I think a horse like Goal Oriented is getting better. Gosker should be getting better. I already mentioned Burnham Square. All that being said, I think it's journalism, and I don't know that it'll be that close. Here's the deal. There is literally not one reason for this camp to run him in the Haskell unless he is doing spectacularly well. And that is not a knock on the Haskell. I love the Haskell. It is a super, super important race. It is a major race. You should be lucky to win the Haskell. However, we're talking about a horse that just ran in all 3 of the Triple Crown races, right? So there, it stands to reason if he's tired, and he has every right to be tired, you would just skip this round of races and everybody would understand, and everybody would probably say, no, yeah, that's that. Yes, exactly. I get it. Even when we got reports that journalism was doing very well in the mornings, all of us in the text change with John and Ryan and you and I, we were all like, yeah, maybe the Haskell, but I wouldn't think. He's here. And to me, that says he's here. He's doing very well. He's ready to roll. So I would be pretty surprised if he doesn't show up and run a great race.
I mean, like, this is a horse that's stationed out west, right? So he ships out to Saratoga. He ships out to all those Triple Crown races. Now he ships all the way across the country to run in this race, like you said, when there's really no reason to, unless I mean, I don't want to say there's no reason to, but you know what I mean. Listen, the only way he gets beat is if you just have to make up he just doesn't, like I mentioned in the opening, where it's just like, hey, he just didn't have it. But like, because like any of the interesting horses in the race, and interesting, you're goal oriented with Baffert. Baffert knows how to win the Haskell. We know that. Gosker, Burnham Square, those are horses that he's beat, and really wasn't relatively close. I think Burnham Square is the one of those 3 that I like the most. That I could see potentially upsetting if journalism weren't to fire. I think he ran a sneaky, decent Derby. He had some traffic, still ran well. Of course, backed that up and ran well again next out. So I do think he's a nice one. But again, you have to go into it saying, well, I don't. Basically, the mindset if for picking against journalism is, well, I just don't. He's going to be tired. He's going to be tired. He can't keep doing it. And we've had no reason or no indications that he is.
Yeah, I think he's tired, or hey, one of these they're really improving. And I do think Burnham Square fits that bill. I've heard so many good things about Goal Oriented since the Preakness. Like, he seems to really be working out extremely well. I've heard a lot of good things about him. Can he improve enough? And what does the pace look like in this race? That's the other thing that kind of has me worried about Goal Oriented, and kind of has me a little bit more like, yeah, maybe Burnham Square is kind of the one to play with journalism, because Goal Oriented, after the race, Bob Baffert said, I don't know why he wasn't on the lead. That was crazy. He's got to be on the lead. Yeah. And then you watch the replay, and it's like, well, shit, he should have been on the lead. I don't know what Flavien Prat was doing, which you never hear people say that. Like, and I don't ever say it either because Pratt's so good. But that day, I'm not really sure what Pratt was doing, because it looked like the horse was going to get the lead, and then he kind of eased off of him a little bit. So it was weird. But anyway, I think he's going to go. I think Gosker's going to go. I think Bracket Buster is going to go. I think Kentucky Outlaw is going to go. What does that look like for who can hold on out of those speed horses? It has me a little bit worried, but I do think Goal Orient's getting better. Like I said, I do think Burnham Square has a right to be better as well here. But can they be that much better, or will journalism take a step back? I'm not sure.
Listen, the workouts are visually very impressive. That's three straight bullets. Really, four of the last 5 have been bullets, and just really lighting the track up, running 58 flat, 5 furlongs, 59. He's got them geared up. Now, with that in mind, the path for this horse is not necessarily what we're used to seeing from Bow Baffert horses in the Haskell. It's not. And it kind of felt like a little bit like Goal-Oriented was that. We mentioned that in that day or before the Preakness, because Rodriguez was supposed to be there and then he wasn't, and then Goal-Oriented. So it was like, yeah, I don't know. This isn't really the way that we typically see that Baffert, that like the real Baffert type horse in this race. And that's kind of how I feel about him. And you look, and the numbers kind of indicate that he's a good horse. He's been very consistent. Every single race from a numbers perspective has been almost identical. So it's not, even you look at the Burnham Square, or even a Gosker, if you want to go there, where it's like, hey, he's ran a kind of an improved race each start, and especially lately. And the same could be said for Burnham Square. You don't really see that from Goal-Oriented. It's kind of just, he's solid, and maybe certainly should have ran better or finished better result in the Preakness without the bumping. But he wasn't going to win, and I don't know. I think he's a nice horse. I don't think he's a Haskell winner horse.
Well, I don't think he's a Haskell winner horse because the horse named Journalism is here, but I do think if he wasn't, I would probably, I would think long and hard about picking.
He wasn't in it. Yeah. You'd have that'd be tough.
Because here's the deal, break the maiden, and then 1 month later you ship over to Churchill Downs and you win, an allowance. And then 2 weeks later you run in the Grade 1 Preakness in your third start. They asked this horse to do a lot really fast. And that's kind of where I'm like, I don't really know who he is, because I haven't seen him like, okay, here's a race, here's a target, we're going to prepare for it.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? I'm kind of with you. If I thought he was like a monster, or he's really, really good, I wouldn't be saying Burnham Square is the horse to play in second, right? So I'm kind of with you in the sense that I still am skeptical that Goal-Oriented is some kind of like monster, but I'm not sure who he is. I know he's working extremely well, right? And that's the thing, but I'm unsure. And honestly, I'm really unsure about the 6 Gosker as well.
That race, the Belmont answered a lot of questions, if there were any, for Journalism, I thought, because like he ran his race, he ran awesome, he bounced back, he may run even better, he did run better by a numbers perspective, and he still lost. Of course, he was facing Sovereignty, but certainly like bounced out of that Preakness. Like, hey, he won that race so visually well in the Preakness, and then he rebounded with, hey, I am that horse. So we haven't really been able to see that with these other two. What is Gosker? What is Goal-Oriented after that? Because they both, Gosker especially increased his Beyer speed figure about 10 points from his previous high. What will he do here? Is he that horse, or did he just kind of get away with one? And shit, he damn near stole the race, right? This is a proving ground race for me for Gosker. He doesn't have to win, but a second place effort behind Journalism would certainly show that, hey, he is a solid horse. He's not Journalism, but he's solid.
I totally agree. I remember, the maiden special weight. I remember us kind of talking about that race as we were going into the Lexington, and he won fairly impressively in the Lexington, no doubt about it, over a field that, it left a lot to be desired, right? It's not the greatest Lexington field you'll ever see. That race is always kind of hit and miss. It's like, some years, we think it's really good, and then it doesn't materialize. And then some years it will. I don't really know what that was in the Lexington. And then there's two ways to look at it. And I don't think either way is wrong, really. But you look at the Preakness, you go, man, he improved. Gosh, he almost did it. Man, he ran so well in that race. You look at the other side of it and go, that thing was freaking gift wrapped, if I could speak to him, and he lost.
Yep.
And that's where it's like, and I remember saying it after, I was like, thank God Journalism was a tough horse and battled through that. And thank God he was having to run down Gosker. I'm not sold on him.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how, looking, when you watch the replay now, it feels like, because what happens, but it feels like it's like that, but he gets the lead, but here comes Journalism. But in the moment, it's like I had this like whole life of thoughts, happen whenever journalism has the trouble, and then here goes Gosker spurred away, and I'm thinking, Gosker just stole the race. He stole the he's never none the wiser up there in front. This horse is, and then all this, all those thought process go through your head, and then here comes journalism. But it definitely felt like that took longer than it really was. But no, I'm with you. Looking at the form too, Bracket Buster is an interesting horse from a perspective of he's faced a lot of kind of different horses, meaning like he faced Sovereignty back in the Street Sense a while back. In the Lexington, he got beat by Gosker. He was second to that day in the race prior to the last. Goal Oriented beat him at Churchill Downs. That was the race that Goal Oriented barely beat Hypnus. And then last out, he wins by 7 in the Pegasus here at this race. And so it's kind of like he's faced a bunch of these horses. And so in some regards, you say, well, he won by 7 last out, and Gosker beat him. Goal Oriented beat him. So maybe those horses are, but in the other regard, it's like that race wasn't that good from who was in that race, I should say, the Pegasus. So it's kind of like those are all horses running with each other, and then there's journalism who's facing the best of the best, who's beating, winning the Preakness, who's finishing second to the All-World Sovereignty, who's won 8 or 5 of 8 starts, has never finished off the board. He only his worst career race has been his debut race, and he won every race between now and then, before in the Derby and the Belmont, where he had to face Sovereignty, who's not in this one. I just think it, shape it how you want. It's going to be awfully tough to beat him.
Yes, I agree, and it's kind of funny, like Bracket Buster and Gosker both. You kind of look at them, and in both of them, you kind of say the same thing. It's like, man, who have they beat? Okay, Gosker did beat Bracket Buster. Bracket Buster did come back to win, but who did he beat that day? The race that he was in with Goal Oriented, he couldn't beat him. And then you go, well, who's Goal Oriented finished ahead of? And it's like, they haven't really beat anybody when you think about it that way, like Gosker's second in the Preakness. And I remember when that happened, my first kind of thought was, man, Gosker just tossed Clever Again aside. That's pretty impressive. Well, now you have another data point. And you go, Clever Again is not any good going 2 turns, right? So it's like, that wasn't impressive. River Thames, he didn't turn out to be much. He finished ahead of Goal Oriented in the Preakness, but Goal Oriented was body checking with journalism. He beat Sandman, okay. So they haven't really beat anybody. And then you got journalism where like it's a no doubter. He's been facing the best horses in the country, the last 4 races. So yeah. It does, like, there aren't any really question marks about who's beaten who when it comes to journalism. And like you said, even on journalism's, worst race out of the 5, and it was the worst because of all the things that happened to him, or whether he caused it or anybody else caused it. It was not a smooth race for him. He still buried him, it's just like, I don't know. And so I think that's the other reason why I lean back more towards Burnham Square, because I have seen him, be within 3 lengths of Sovereignty, right, in the Fountain of Youth. And I saw him beat East Avenue. The Derby, he was in it. He was 6th. He had a bad trip. He was at least kind of around. Last time out, he did lose to East Avenue, but, it was kind of a paceless race, and he ran okay. So it's just like, I think he's beaten better horses than the rest of them, minus journalism.
Yeah, he has. That's why I like him in a sense. But then also you're like, well, he also finished 8th in the Derby, and journalism, finished well ahead of him. And then he couldn't beat East Avenue the next start, I'm sorry, East Avenue finished 8th in the Derby. Burnham Square got beat by East Avenue last out. So it's like, it kind of feels like the same thing I mentioned earlier with Bracket Buster and Gosker. It's like these horses are all kind of trading punches, and journalism is up here. And so it just, I don't know. You got to make up a reason, I think, for journalism to lose here. I think they saw this race and he was doing good enough to like, hey, let's go win the Grade 1 Haskell for $1 million. And listen, he wins here. it goes on to, I assume, to run in the Travers next and face much tougher horses, including his arch nemesis, Sovereignty. But he certainly would put his a win here and then a win in the Travers, and all of a sudden he's ahead of him.
I mean, is he ahead? I think he'd be tied with him. Maybe I don't know. He would still have that. He would still be losing.
The recency factor might get the nod. I don't know. Listen. Let's say tied heading into the Classic. I mean, what's better than that?
I think that's fair. Yeah, because Sovereignty would still have that 2-1 advantage head to head. Yeah. So I think he would be within the ballpark for sure. Let's say that.
Yeah, you could certainly say, hey, head to head in the Classic, whoever wins, probably going to be 3-year-old of the year, certainly, and even horse of the year. But yeah, nothing crazy here for me, guys. I'm going journalism. I think. Okay, I'll ask you 2 questions. What kind of trip? Because Rispoli's on board here again. What kind of trip from that 2-hole do you kind of hope and expect? And the second question would be: he's 4-5 on the morning line. We've kind of outlined this race pretty well. I feel like how much money is going to be bet on him, meaning what is his odds going to be?
I think 3-5. Okay. Is that hopeful, do you think?
I think more like 2-5.
Okay.
I mean, really, I would even 1-5. I don't know about 1-5. I think there'll be enough love on some of these horses like Burnham and Gosker. But like you said, the problem is still going to keep going back to it's not like he just beat them in that race. He about fell over and still beat those horses in that race. And it's just I don't know. It's going to be tough to kind of go against him.
Yeah, I may be hopeful. Maybe wishful. Let's split
3-5 would be amazing. Yeah.
Say he's 1-2, maybe. We'll split the difference between 2-5 and 3-5. As far as trip goes, I just have to think Rispoli is not gonna do what he did in the Preakness again. I thought he rode a really, really good Belmont. He did exactly from somebody that bet him. I thought he made every move that I wanted him to make as a bettor. And, I think that's what he'll do here. I think he'll kind of sit mid-pack-ish. Maybe he'll, maybe just couple 2 or 3 lengths behind the leaders and swing out at the top of the stretch and make his run. And just kind of do what you should do with a horse like this. If he's good enough, he'll go win it. And if he's not, well, hey, it's not my fault. I kept him out of trouble. I think that's the plan. So, look, I thought he ran the best race of his career in the Belmont, and I think if he shows up at that race, I don't think he'll have much problem.
I agree. I thought that last race was just it's sickening to bet him and lose that race because it was so perfect. The way he ran, the way the pace, when he fired, everything. Like he just looked and then he just got smoked by a better horse that day, and maybe just a better horse, plain and simple. But yeah, I think journalism, not going to get too creative here. Journalism for me in the Haskell to punch his ticket, which I'm sure he's already going there, but punches a ticket officially into the Classic. Yeah, the only thing, Sovereignty. Listen, I don't know that he needs a target. I think you let a horse like Sovereignty get the jump and it's game over too.
It's hard because I do understand like what you're thinking. You're thinking as well, he had all the targets ahead of him and he lapped them all. And then somebody came up from the outside and he likes a target to run at. And if he had that horse in front of him, he'd run after him. I don't think that's realistic. I think it would have just been a wider margin. I do think he likes to have a target out in front of him for sure. But I don't think the situation was he got past all his targets and then he just waited and then like, oh, here came Sovereignty and he just never could get going or never saw him or whatever. I don't think that's what it was. I just think he he just can't match his strides. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like both times when I watched journalism around the corner, and it's like, oh yeah, he wins. This gonna be great. He's moving so well. And then you just look back and it's like, man, it's like Sovereignty's running 2 strides to 1 on him, and you catch it immediately. I've never really rooted for a horse or bet on a horse and they turn for home, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna win. And then like immediately when I pick up the horses coming from behind, I know the race is over. That's why I think I just don't think that would have made any difference. And I don't know, maybe you try it next time and see, right? Because here's the deal. Something's got to change the next time they run. Because if Sovereignty shows up with his normal race and journalism shows up with his normal race, you got to try something. You know, it's like if you get beat in basketball 2 times playing man defense, well, try a zone the 3rd time. It may not help because they're better than you, but you got to try it, right? So I get the thought.
Yeah, it's almost like, what do you?
Yeah.
You know, do you go out try to put it to him early? Like, meaning, do you separate as much as you can? Just hope that, you know, like you said, it's not. Do you want to run for second? Because if you keep doing the same thing, that might be what you're doing. Because it seems like, I mean, he did.
I think this is like, I'm trying to be careful because I don't really want to argue with the commenter, because I get it and I see the point. And again, the same thing. He got beat doing the same thing both times. Try something different. You get beat again, then we'll come back and say, see, I don't know what he could have done, or maybe it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, that day, I'm looking back, kind of some of those last races. You know, the day he ran in the Santa Anita Derby, and Viezo kind of looked like he was going to steal that thing. He kind of, you know, got gutty and went and chased him down. You know, the San Felipe, he did it with Barnes. You know, he definitely likes a target, and the way he runs with a target, you know. But I think the problem isn't necessarily the timing. The problem is pretty simple, and there's a freak of nature horse in the race with him, and that's Sovereignty. Like, not every horse can do what Sovereignty's doing, and let's keep in mind that's, you know, Sovereignty was right there with him that day in the Belmont. They were kind of, you know, pretty close to each other most of the race, and you know, that's I going back, I would run that race 10 times that way. You know, 10 out of 10 for journalism. I thought, you know, picking against him that day, I was like, oh shit, you know, journalism's winning this thing. You know, when they kind of hit the turn, like he's cruising, and then Sovereignty decided to unleash, you know, like he does. But yeah, I think the biggest problem is not that, and that, again, that might what it comes down to, man. It's like, hey, we can try all these different things, but unless Sovereignty stubs his toe or doesn't enter, basically, we're screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
that's
that very well could be. That very well could be. You know, and you know, what if you go, okay, we're going to wait on him, and then he never makes the move, and somebody gets the jump on you, and then you get beat that way. You know what I mean? And then you're like,
yeah.
Say you're in the Travers, he's like, okay, don't move until Sovereignty moves. And Sovereignty doesn't fire, and you're looking back, and Magnitude goes gate to wire, and everybody's going, why didn't he move? You know what I mean? So sometimes it's tough, you know, and I do think it is a situation where they're in a weird spot to where it's like, boy, the Travers, I mean, assuming he runs well and wins the Haskell, right? The Travers is the clear and obvious next race for a 3-year-old. But it's like, gosh, I don't know. And then what do? You're going to stay at Del Mar, and let's pretend that Nisos does live up to the hype, and he's waiting at the Pacific Classic. It's like, I've got this horse that 9 times out of 10 would win both these races, and I don't know where. I can't go anywhere with him. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, and then to add insult to injury, they decided to showcase another dimension from Sovereignty last out and say, hey, you know what, we can get closer with him here, and he'll be more forwardly placed, and we'll still have the kick at the end of the race. So, yeah, what do? You know, he's so much. And when you watch those 2 races with the Derby and the Belmont, you're just like, oh yeah, okay, he's much like it's very clear that Sovereignty's a better horse. It's not like trip wise this happens it's like no, he's pretty damn good. I just don't think he's as good as Sovereignty.
Yeah.
I told
I told Stillman the other day, we were talking, it's been a few weeks maybe, but we were talking and I said, I bet on horses all the time and they run and it's like, they ran really well, but they got beat, right? And that happens. But I said, it's rare that I bet on one and they run a race where I'm like, that is as good as I could possibly hope they would have run. And not only did they get beat, it's like, and I knew immediately they weren't winning. Like that doesn't happen all that often, right?
yeah.
Like take if you singled Nitrogen, let's say, or you singled She Feels Pretty, they ran well. They just got beat. But like journalism's like singling a horse, and it's like, oh, this can be a romp, and then immediately when you pick up the horse from behind, it's like, oh shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and technically he did romp. He just got out romped by another horse,
right.
And that's the same thing that happened. I mean, not so much in the Derby because he, it visually didn't seem that way, but the Belmont certainly was that way. And in fact, if I would have said, hey, he ran a 102 in the San Antonio Derby, he ran a 102 in the Buyer-wise in the Kentucky Derby. If I would have said, hey, Halterman, he's going to run a 105 in the Belmont, you'd have been like, I mean, how much how much money can I put on him? Can I refinance my house? What do I need to, 105 Buyer? Are you serious? And by the way, it's not really going to be close. He's going to,
Well, I've said it before. I'll say it again since we're talking about it. The Derby, I felt good. I felt we were in a good spot. I thought he was going to win, but I never had overwhelming confidence, right? I don't know because it was a Derby or I didn't think he looked. He ran really well, but I didn't think he looked like, oh, this is going to be like a huge effort. It's like, okay, this might get close, but I still think he's going to win. And the Belmont, there was never 1 second until I saw Sovereignty that I didn't think he was going to win and win pretty easy. Like he looks so good and he just got waxed in that race. So we sat back down and I'm like, there's like, I couldn't ask that horse to run any better than he just did. And he never had a chance.
Yeah. At that point, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
You did everything.
You're supposed
right.
to pick Sovereignty.
What? You're supposed to go run in the Haskell against a bunch of horses that you can't beat you.
Right.
Go steal grade 1 and get to the Classic, and hopefully you can only have to face Sovereignty at max 2 more times. I mean, and maybe afterwards he was like, maybe we won't see him again, or maybe we'll see him again. This was McCarthy. Maybe we'll see him again out in our place, meaning Del Mar, the Breeders' Cup. So. At that point, it didn't seem like the Travers was necessarily on the radar, but you got to think if the horse runs well here, it's McCarthy. He's a gamer, man. Look, he's just ran in all 3 legs. This horse has ran in the San Felipe, the San Antonio Derby, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont, the Haskell, possibly the Travers, possibly the Classic. I mean, that from a 3-year-old campaign does not get any better than that. So,
yep.
I hope he does, but certainly is being asked of by a lot by just his trainer, but to try to face a horse like Sovereignty multiple times. Poor horse has had to face him. If he does run the whole year in those races, you're talking 4 times that horse has had to run against Sovereignty. So not an easy task, but. All right, guys, time for rapid fire. Let's get into some more handicapping here. Rapid fire is presented by that Haskell Stakes betting Bible. It is available right now over at racingdudes.com for the whole July 19th card at Monmouth Park. It's your secret weapon for cashing more tickets all day at Monmouth. This is we got everything you need. Detailed race-by-race analysis with exact betting amounts, multi-race strategies. That means pick 4s, pick 5s, pace projections from every race, AI-powered top 4 picks, as well as top 4 picks from our boy John White included in that betting Bible. You can get everything over at racingdudes.com. Just click that Get Racing Dudes premium button at the menu, and you can get access to that. It's also free as well, guys, if you are a premium subscriber. So it is available right now at the website. So let's kick things off here. Del Mar opening weekend, race number 9, the San Clemente handicap grade 2, 200K, 1 mile turf. For fillies, 3-year-olds, field of 9 shows up here, led by Thought Process, your 5, the D'Amato barn at 8-5. D'Amato, no surprise, has a few in here, but can this horse pull off the win?
I don't think there's any doubt the number 5 Thought Process is the best horse in the race. So I'll start off with that. I just think this horse has proven it over and over to be the classiest horse. You know, when they move this horse to the turf, 3 straight victories in a row, obviously, and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf was not good, got 9th that day. Beaten 6 lengths, but we know now that was a loaded race. There were a lot of really good horses in that race. Of course, Lake Victoria, the winner of that one, was probably the best bet of the whole Breeders' Cup. She was super good, but our American horses were good too.
Nitrogen,
that last time out, won easily in an allowance race there at Santa Anita. My question to you is, what is going to happen with this pace? Can she sit off of it? And why did D'Amato enter another horse, the number 7 Jungle Piece, who's pretty good in her own right, that has a ton of speed as well? I don't think this is as easy as just the 5 Thought Process is going to win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like a lot of. I wish I knew what D'Amato was planning here, as far as like, hey, who are you going to send? You know, because I personally like the one that's going to sit off. And I don't know which one that is. The price on the 7 Jungle Piece is too good for me at 8-1. That's where I went with, and I understand. I'm with you completely. Thought Process. You know, this horse was 5-1 in the Breeders' Cup. You know, of course, it didn't work out, but this is obviously a very talented horse and bounced back after that race back in June. But Jungle Piece, this is a horse who's like, I mean, finished 3rd last out, but that was going a mile and 1/8. And I mean, if go watch the replay, it could have gone. It was a nose, it was a nostril. How close this thing was, hit the wire at the same time. Now cutting back down to the mile, I think that's going to give the horse a lot of help. And you know, on debut over here in the United States, the horse did win off of it a touch, and for that matter, the 5 is won from off of it a touch. So. Again, I wish I kind of knew who was going to dictate things, because I think that horse might have a little bit of an advantage.
It's a really tough race to kind of figure when it comes to that. I think if you're playing multi-races, I would use both the D'Amato horses, the 5 and the 7, because of the kind of the thing that you just said, kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen there with the tactics. And Christopher Potts beat me to it here. I really like the 8 because of the pace setup as well. I think that's one you got to use on your tickets. The number 8, Firenze Flavor. This is
who won that race.
Yeah, exactly. Won the honeymoon, but also this is a horse. If the pace materializes, this is the one that will win, in my opinion. And the horse is 12-1. Now, look. Sometimes at Del Mar, it looks like there's going to be a lot of pace on the turf, and then all of a sudden one takes a gate to wire, and you're like, where were the other ones? So could that happen with Thought Process or Jungle Piece? Yes. I put Thought Process on top, but I'm going to play Firenze Flavor pretty hard underneath as well. I really like this horse in this spot.
Yeah, I'm a little questionable. I hate this. I mean, this horse is 4 for 2, or 2 for 4, I should say, at the distance. So it's like, one was at a maiden special weight, one was an allowance. But this horse, you know, it kind of, you know, I think that 1.125 might, you know, a little longer might make this horse a little bit better.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder what that mile will do with. I understand that the pace setup is nice for the 8, but you kind of wonder if I wonder if it might be just a tad short for the 8 to really have that burst, you know, and so. I don't know. I kind of lean that towards a 7 and a 5 on top, but in using the 8 underneath, because I'm questionable if the horse will be able to kind of nail, whether it be the 5 or the 7, whichever one you like. There, we'll have the time to nail that horse.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. And like I said, if you take the pace out of the equation, I think thought process is the worst to beat. And I think Jungle Piece is probably second, honestly. Like, I like him, but how that plays out is going to be very interesting.
This is it's always tough too, right? Because you have opening weekend and on the turf course there, and you don't know obviously what kind of setup you're looking at as far as how we know how Saratoga was playing on the turf there for a while, and you know how it can. So do you have any advice for not just this race but all the turf racing, really any of the both surfaces, like when it comes to a new track, meaning like a new meet starting? Do you kind of take the biases out, being like, hey, you know what, I can't assume anything until I've seen enough kind of to sample size to sway my decision one way or another?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You got to pay attention, right? But I can just tell you that, the dirt course at Del Mar, usually you need to be towards the front. You don't really want to come towards the back or from the back. So that's one thing for sure. The turf, I think it really changes from day to day. I think it's a pretty fair turf course overall, honestly. And people might argue with me on that one a little bit, but I really don't think it. I think there are days where maybe it could favor one thing or another, but overall, I think it's pretty fair. So, for example, if a pace is hot, the closers are going to win, and if the pace is not, then that speed will hold. Like, it doesn't really favor one or another. It's just a pretty fair course. So, but again, year to year, that thing changes for sure. So pay attention to the first day, pay attention to the first part of the second day, because like you said, 4th of July weekend, we had a really good feel for Saratoga, and there was no rain in sight. So we had a pretty good feel for, okay, this is going to be, we're going to have to play a lot of speed. Del Mar, if you see that start to happen, then just pay attention to it and keep that in the back of your mind.
All right, that I'll take. We're both going to take Diamato. I'll take the 7 on the outside at 8-1, and you got the 5 thought process at 8-5. All right, let's go back to Saratoga. I guess we haven't been to Saratoga yet, but we talk about it enough to feel like we're going back. This is race number 10. The CCA Oaks, race 10, grade 1, 500K, 1 1/8 miles for those fillies, 3-year-olds. Field of 6, you got Lucara versus Immersive. You really, across the board, have some nice ones. Scottish Lassie and Take Charge, My Lady, who did beat Immersive last time out. Do you think Immersive can bounce back after that loss?
I do. I'm pretty bullish on her in this spot. I think this is the spot where she's going to come back and run her best race. Last time out, it was off a long layoff, coming off of an injury, and I thought she ran really well. And you might say, well, she lost, and it was the first loss of her career, and it was an ungraded stakes. But Take Charge, My Lady's a pretty good horse who's ran good races, and really a horse that is in form, right? I mean, fit, and Immersive wasn't all out. You could tell it was kind of just a prep, and I thought she got a lot out of the race, and I think she's going to move forward and run really well in this spot. So I think it sets her up well. I also think it says a lot that they're running her here. It says that Brad Cox has got confidence that she's getting ready to get back and run her best race. So I picked Immersive. I'm kind of against Lucara in this spot. I just think last time out, that was a sloppy sealed track, and it's really tough to pass at Saratoga when that's the case. Now, if it does rain and that happens, then she's one you're going to have to throw in there. But if it's a dry track, I don't know. I kind of prefer Immersive and Take Charge, My Lady here to run 1-2 once again. But I think the order is going to be flipped.
Imagine the NFL season or something, and one team has you get to week 7, one team's played all 7 weeks, okay, and the other team, this for whatever reason is week 1 for them.
Yeah,
that's tough. And think about college football even more so, probably, because that's why a lot of times you have those easier kind of softer games early in the season. That's essentially what we're talking about here. Immersive it was her first race since that Breeders' Cup, whereas Take Charge, My Lady had literally ran 7 races, 6 or 7 races since then. So it's certainly you would assume Immersive will go up from that. And honestly, I'm with you. I know she lost, but I thought it was a pretty good effort. And a guy she was it looked like a winner really the whole race until she just kind of just didn't quite have enough to finish. She kind of got bumped around a little bit in the turn. She had, was in, you could tell she wanted to go, and she kind of was bottled in there for a while, and it just never really felt comfortable. And then she started to run, and she did make her run. She just was a little flat. So yeah, I would assume she bounces back here. I've always liked Immersive. I think she runs a better race here. And like you said, I'm with you on Lucara too. I think I think she's going to bounce a little bit here at that last effort, and give me Immersive. I think she's sitting on a big performance here. All right, last one up, I should say. Race 11, the Vanderbilt Grade 2, 400K, 6 furlongs, 4-year-olds and up. You got a field of 8 lined up here: 5-2 on Bookham Dano, 7-2 on Mulligan, 9-2 on Nakatomi, 4-1 on Skelly. I mean, really across the board, Damon's Mound and Full Moon Madness are the only two that are like, higher odds, but they're all right there. Baby Yoda loves this track. Nash, I mean, maybe he started to turn the page a little bit. Maybe he can make a name for himself in this division at this level. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, that's a hell of a race. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think you kind of got to make the decision. It's like, okay, is this Bookham Dano? Is this just as easy as that? Or are we going to go outside the box? Because I really I don't want any part of Skelly outside of Oaklawn, right? Mulligan, man, he's had a lot of chances. He hasn't got it done. I still kind of like him, but I don't know at 6 furlongs. I'm not sure. Don't really want to support a horse like Nash, honestly. Baby Yoda, I don't know. I hate that horse. Nakatomi's really not been good since he won this last year. Mike Somich made a big case for Damon's Mound, and the more he got to talking, I was like, I kind of agree with you. This horse has a big chance at that number. I picked Bookham Dano, but I think you can get crazy underneath with a price.
I mean, okay, Damon's Mound, that would be. Let's hear this case.
Well, I listen. I do you like Skelly? Let's just start with this. Do you like Skelly outside of Oaklawn?
No.
Do you even think he'll hit the board?
No.
Okay, so that's check mark 1 off. Full Moon Madness. I mean, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not bad, but I mean, I'm not real worried about him. Mulligan, yeah. I mean, he's a better horse, no doubt, but he's had some chances at 6 furlongs. I'm not sure he's best at that. Okay. Bookham Dano, you clearly good horse. Nash, I mean, do you really want to bet Nash?
I would bet Nash over Damon's Mound.
Okay. I might Baby Yoda. I mean, he's never ran 2 good ones in a row.
Yeah, just not for me here. No.
And Nakatomi, I can see where you say I want to bet him over Damon's Mound, but he's just not much. So, I mean, you look at Damon's Mound. I mean, the horse is 5 for 13 lifetime. Horse 8 for 13 on the board, and it's been running some decent races. I think a lot of people are going to look at what happened last time out of Delaware and say, "Boy, that was not good," and it wasn't. This is second off the layoff. He's got Belmont in his corner, and the biggest thing for me that convinced me of it, he's like, why would Belmont enter this horse in this race? And Junior Alvarado is going to ride. He goes, that clearly they think this horse is decent enough, right? He's like, if he liked Baby Yoda better than Damon's Mound, wouldn't that be where Junior Alvarado was? I was like, yeah, probably. So he's like, okay, let's assume that maybe Mott likes him better than Baby Yoda. These other horses really aren't that good. Why can't this horse, jump up? And I thought, I don't see a reason why he can't. So I don't know.
From a value standpoint, I don't disagree, because 15-1 versus taking, I don't know, Nash or even say Baby Yoda at 6-1.
Yeah.
Give me Damon's Mound for those. If you're talking about the 2 Mott horses, right, then I think the value is there. I like Bookham Dano and I like Mulligan really enough to where it's like, if one of those horses don't run, sure, but to try to beat them both, I keep going back to the 4 and the 5, and furthermore, I'll go to the 5. I mean, that's not super surprising, but I keep going back to that Churchill Downs. I mean, what a key race that's turning into, and it's just, mind frame and Nisos and this horse obviously finished fourth, and then he bounced back and showed that he was a legit horse in that True North. I thought it was one of his best efforts ever, that last out race. And, of course, Nisos come back to win. Mind frame came back to win. Vanishing probably would have if they knew how to run them in the right spots. But that's a whole other story. I just think he loves Saratoga. He's got 2 wins and 3 starts. He loves this distance. I think the pace of this race will set up perfect for what Bookham Dano likes to do. I really like, I think he's turned into quite a horse here. So and again, I keep going back to that race 2 back. I think that Churchill Downs is such a key race. And you look at the horses that, he's faced and certainly aren't in this race. And so I'm with you on Mulligan. He's kind of had his opportunities and he hasn't really cashed in on them. Although he did run well in the last one. But just, I think Bookham did kind of show that he's a better horse than that. Bookham Dano's a better horse than Mulligan. So.
Same. Yeah, I that's why I ultimately picked Bookham Dano as well. I just think right now he's a little bit better. Two straight efforts where he was able to finish ahead of Mulligan. Maybe a dry track helps Mulligan a little bit. Both those wins were over sloppy tracks, or both those times that Bookham Dano finished ahead of Mulligan. One wasn't a win, one was over sloppy tracks. Maybe that helped him a little bit. So you could say that, but yeah, I couldn't get past Bookham. I mean, he's going to be really tough.
The pace is just between Skelly and Mulligan, and even Nash, has a little bit of forward speed, and Baby Yoda has at times shown to have speed, and Damon's Mound, the horse you mentioned, has got some speed, and it just feels like this. We know Skelly is going to light the track on fire. That's what he does. That's his only opportunity to win a race. Mulligan, we know, likes to be forwardly placed, and so the race just sets up so well for the 5.
It sets up well for Bookham Dano, and it sets up pretty well for Nakatomi. And if you remember, Nakatomi was a horse that last year was able to beat Skelly because the pace was hot, and there really was nobody else in that race very good, and he was able to get the job done. The difference is Bookham Dano's been winning and looking really good. Nakatomi hasn't won since the Vanderbilt. So, but the race does certainly set up for those two. Yeah.
All right. So you got the 5. Is that you're going with?
Yep.
All right. We're both on the 5 here. Bookham Dano to win the Vanderbilt. Yeah, I do. I feel like I know Samich well enough to where at 3 is going to be as he would say, a tournament horse.
Right. I don't know. The more I look at, if you look back at this horse, he's always been pretty good. Now he hasn't been win the Vanderbilt good, but he's always ran well.
He did win. He's a grade 2 winner, double grade 2 winner. Damon's Mountain. He won the Saratoga Special and the Gallant Bob. If you're going to count that one as a grade 2, but we'll Saratoga Special, he did beat Super Chow in Gulfport. Pat Day was not good. He's kind of been he's been better lately, but early in his career, he was very hit or miss.
Well, I think they kind of, I think that 2 and 3-year-old season, he probably ran too hard of races, and I don't know. Look, I don't. The horse came back off a long layoff, won off that layoff, did lose the last race. I don't know. It's a weird entry. I do agree with him that it's just strange. I don't know why Mott would mess with this if he didn't think this horse was going to run decent. And maybe he hits the board, maybe he's a horse you could play underneath of the 4 and the 5 and it juices it up,
It is an interesting. Yeah. Again, this horse had not ran since December of 2023 and then came back in January of this past January. And then again, another layoff until this past June last month so he's obviously had some issues, but he also has Belmont in his barn now. So that helps. And that last work probably should, indicated to Bill that, maybe this horse deserves a shot, but I agree. at the very least, it's interesting. He ran fourth in the Malibu. I mean,
it's very possible we sit here on Saturday and go, well, he ran a really good fourth here, but he's not good enough,
Yeah, I think he runs well. I think he outruns his odds. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I don't think he can win. Nakatomi. I've never been right with Nakatomi ever. I mean, so yeah, he'll probably win here since I'm not using him, but he is certainly kind of race he could win. Meaning, let's just say one of those horses can't quite get it done, and the pace melts down. He likes Saratoga, and he's proven that when there is a meltdown, he can take advantage of it.
He literally is a horse that he in 2023 he had one win. It came on July 16th at Saratoga. In 2024 he had one win. It came July 27th at Saratoga. Hasn't had a win since. It's now July of 2025. Maybe this is his win for the year.
Let me. You probably already saw this, so if you did, don't cheat. But for those in the chat, let me ask a question. This horse has won only 6 starts in 22 efforts. 6 of 22. Nakatomi, that is. He's 6 years old. How ballpark? Give me. What do you think his earnings are? 6 wins. It's all he's had. 6 wins in 22 starts, and he's 6 years old.
Okay, I have not seen this.
Throw a couple in the chat if anybody's wants to give a guess. But if you saw it, don't guess. But
yeah, I know he's ran in so many big races. He won that Vanderbilt. That's decent last year. I don't really know that he's won a lot of stakes though. I've got a thought, but I'll wait. I mean,
the guesses are higher than I expected. It's close to 2 million, Jason. It's 1.7 almost. 1.7 million in 6 starts, and he's won one graded stakes race.
6 for 22 with one graded stakes victory. Wow.
It was the Vanderbilt we talked about. But here's the thing. He's finished second in the Golden Shaheen and third in the Golden Shaheen.
Yeah.
And he's also finished third in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And let's see, another big one. No, that's the biggest one. Those are the biggest ones. So the Norfolk over at Ascot, that's funny. He ran in that one. He finished 8th. So he's finished second and third in that huge $2 million Golden Shaheen. And he's also finished the third, I should say, in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. But that's it. And then the Grade 1 win.
Wow.
But to say that a horse has won 6 starts in 22 or 6 races in 22 starts, he's 6 years old. Only one of them was a graded stakes, and he's made almost $2 million. Is pretty dumb, really.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shows like Jason said, you'd want to own him. What a check casher. I'm just kind of looking through it now. He also finished third in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He has a lot of seconds and thirds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's kind of as steady as they come, really. He runs. You look at his form, and he kind of runs his race every time, and sometimes he's most of the time he's not good enough, but it's almost like he's on a loop. He just kind of runs his thing every time.
Yeah, 16 of 22 as far as hitting the board.
Yep, cost a little over $200,000, and he's made 1.7. So not bad.
Unfortunately, he's a gelding though. So
well, yeah, he'll run until he's 10 now. So
yeah,
as long as he keeps churning out money for Wesley, but. Yeah, listen, he runs well, and he obviously his kind of style. He probably only runs about a quarter of the race, so he's he'll probably run for 22 more starts, but neither one of us picking him, so they'll probably put him in the winner's circle there.
Like I say, it's July at Saratoga, so this could be it. We'll see.
That's true. See if he can do it again. Let's see, I'm trying to look at some of these other ones. This day and age, even like a horse like Skelly he's put up almost 2 million in 22
Mhm.
starts,
Mhm.
and you can't name a big race that he's won.
Yeah,
To
didn't
count
he run
Fleet,
second overseas in a big one?
there you
Maybe.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He ran it over in Saudi. He ran second in that sprint.
Gotcha.
Won the those smaller races at Oaklawn, of course.
Mhm.
But he's ran 22 starts, and you know he kind of is just ran that. I mean, listen, those overseas races have skewed everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Skelly 12 of 22, 19 of 22 hitting the board. Just can't win out that big one outside of Oakland Park. That's the problem.
No, until proven otherwise, I think you just have to assume that he's probably too good of a horse, honestly. That's gonna go forever. But at the same time, he is 6, and
Yep.
he's
Another gelding.
had plenty of chances. And yeah, another one.
Yep.
Yeah, but feel like he's had enough chances. I think Nash is interesting. I don't want to keep going on this race. Just Nash had so much hope, and then now it's like that last effort he got a 108 that day.
Mhm.
I don't know what that really accounts to, but it definitely feels like these last 3 races from him, last 2 races, let's say, have been more Nash. Like what we hoped or thought he may have been as a 3-year-old.
Mhm. I would say this. Nash taught us all a lesson. Okay. Don't always just take Brad Cox's word for it, because he said so many things,
Nash was
just
the second coming.
crazy things about
Yeah.
this horse before that 3-year-old season. And he never was any good that 3-year-old season. So
Nash was was flight line and sovereignty and journalism all wrapped into one. I mean, he was there. This was the best horse he's ever laid eyes on, and
yeah.
shit, he couldn't pick up his feet for a year.
Well, we all kind of tended to think, oh, okay, because he did say those kind of things about essential quality, and they came true. He was really darn good. But yeah, I mean, he was talking about this Nash horse like he was the next, just a brilliant horse, and he just wasn't. Brad Cox caused the collapse and the make fun of this horse in a way, because he's not a bad horse, but
Yeah,
he
the
never
hype
could live up to that. Like,
Yeah.
he's hit the board out of 11 out of 12 times.
Yeah, and yet he feels like a joke because of his trainer, who may build him up to be something big. If he wouldn't have, you just said, well, he's turning into a sprinter. Like, look, he's found a spot. Like, he could be a really good horse. But now it's like you can't. It's almost and by the way, he is entered in another race at Ellis, so I don't know if he's going to run here in a much easier spot there. I don't know where he'll run, but I don't know. I mean, definitely feels like he's found something with him. And maybe that something has been easier competition.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Make sure you go to the website over at racingdudes.com. Find out those picks for the whole weekend, as well as our premium action we have, including that Haskell Stakes betting Bible that it's available. It's as soon as I get off here, I'll have it posted here on the site, so we'll have the final version there. We will update. Obviously, we update that. We try to you'll probably have the first update will either be Friday or Saturday, definitely by Saturday morning, with changes, scratches, those kind of things. Heaven forbid we have rain issue. Last time I think we still have PTSD after the Belmont betting Bible. Not the performance of it, but that morning we didn't even get to the track at Saratoga until like the 4th race, 5th race. 1, it was pouring down rain. 2, we couldn't leave because the changes kept coming. It was a disaster. So hopefully we don't get rain on Saturday, but go get the betting Bible over the website at racingdudes.com. We're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram and Facebook. Find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page on the site. Go to Apple Podcasts, anywhere you like to listen to. YouTube, make sure you get that like notification and subscribe. Helps us raise content and raise awareness for horse racing, as well as provide you better and more content. So make sure you hit that up. Dudes Who Bet, you guys were on yesterday. Magic Mike will be on tomorrow. So Blinkers Off is officially sandwiched between the 2 shows now, I guess.
It's the Thursday show. It stayed on the normal day. Yeah. So
it's been a Thursday show for like 15 years.
I know. It's crazy.
I mean, for real, guys. People like it legitimately has been 20. Gosh, when was that, Halterman?
Well,
2012?
yeah, I mean, the site started then. I don't know. The podcast may have been the next year, maybe.
When did Oxbow win? When was he a 3-year-old?
13, wasn't it?
Maybe it was 13. For some reason, I just remember Oxbow that year. Maybe it's 12 or 13. Either way, it's been 10 or say 12 to 15 years, I would say, of every single week, at least once a week. And it's always been Thursday. I mean, occasionally we'll mix it into Wednesday or Friday, depending on schedules. Like I'd say less than 10 times in those many years. But
yeah,
it's it's been before, like, it was this easy to just hop on here. I mean, we'd always meet, every Thursday. We'd get together. And I was living in Arkansas at one point, and Halterman would drive down there. We'd do the podcast, or I would drive up here and we would do the pod. I mean, we always were together. So this is, since COVID, we've been able to kind of give you guys the best of both worlds, and not, it's almost easier to not be together. But this is, you talk about consistency. It's been that.
So I remember I think we started in 12 or 13 because Optimizer used to write into the podcast. I remember that. And he was running in 2012 and 13. So.
That little shit. He always liked to write in.
He does.
That was always my goal. We would do this mailbag segment where, it'd be like we'd answer, readers' emails and stuff. And by the way, at that point, we weren't big enough to where, so most of the time it was just like me asking somebody or me even making up the question and being like, hey, this is what he said. And then I'd always throw in an optimizer question. Or I think even maybe Dwayne had a few as well. So, we always had fun with it. My goal was always to see how much I could make Halterman laugh. So he knew it was coming, but Optimizer. And then Optimizer, even after with Oxbow, he was proud to be still rooting him on and all those things. So
yes, I remember that.
Please tell coach to stop running me, I think is what he said.
Yeah. He would write in, and I remember we got Stillman once to talk like Dwayne Lucas and act like he left us a voicemail as Dwayne Lucas. Remember that? Those were the good old days.
Oh man,
those were the good old days where we had just 100 people listening. They all thought it was funny. Now it's like there's too many people, and we would get a million comments about how dumb we were if we did that kind of stuff.
If we ran like the same style, same show that we did back in the day, we may not. We probably wouldn't have lasted 12 years. So doing podcasts. So at the time, there was no other podcast. So we had no horse racing podcast. So we had no. It was just like the Wild West. We'll do whatever the hell we want, No one's listening anyways. So let's just, mom and dad and our parents are watching and listening. I don't even know if mine were, honestly. So
mine either.
I don't even know if they know I still do this. Let's be honest. But no. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. Listen, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Hey, just don't Brett Capper. I think he died. I think he is buried under the Saratoga chute, the new chute they built. I think they buried him there.
Yeah, that's one I don't think we're going to bring back.
Yeah, he listen, Jason, he created that himself, and he kind of killed it himself, and then he kind of that was a weird time in all our lives.
I feel like Borat Capper and Slim both are kind of in purgatory, right? Like we don't really. Neither one of those people really exist anymore. I don't know what we have right now, but it's not Slim. It's not Saratoga Slim. I know that, and it's not Borat Capper either. I don't know what it is. So.
It's dad rap. That's what it is.
Is it? I don't know.
Oh, Patrick, if we had that, that sounds more fun for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we would probably get too much hate for that.
I have thought about this, though. It's like, why do we really care? Because we are our own bosses. We could literally say anything. Well, we're not going to get fired. Like, we should go back to more of that style of show,
I mean, because the reality is we used to, and again, we do promotions for Naira and Twin Spires and, DraftKings, all those places. But it's like, hey, you're coming to us because we have listeners, because of our personality, what we've built to be here. So it's like, if you don't like it, don't advertise with us. And so we always were so like, well, we're trying to be official. We're trying to be, we got to go to the press room and be at the Breeders' Cup and be at the Kentucky Derby, and we, fit in with all the Joe Schmoes and the douchebags of racing, and then that's because we're new and we thought what we needed to do, and now it's like I don't even want to go to those rooms anymore. Like I love the fact that I'm not those rooms anymore, and so now I'm with you. It's like if they don't like it, then piss off.
Yeah, pretty much it. Yeah.
I don't think Halterman will be back to the press room after his near fight and getting kicked out of the Breeders' Cup one. So
we didn't get kicked out of it.
Well, I think we may have after you.
No, we didn't. We didn't get kicked out of it. We were there the next day.
Hey, listen, they still like us because he emailed me the other day.
Well, here's I don't want to get into that, but yeah, me too. And I don't want to get into it, but anyway, I do miss 3 or 4 people out of the press box. There were a few I liked, but yeah, no, I'm glad not to be there. And yeah, exactly. I kind of, I don't know. I've been thinking about that lately. It's like, why would we hold back? It does not matter if every trainer out there hates us. It doesn't matter. We have no reliance on them. If people don't like us in the horse racing industry, it literally it couldn't mean less, right? So why would we have these shows? Why wouldn't we just be opinionated as like it was you and I talking at the track?
Exactly. That's why I have so much. I used to care, and now I just post shit on Twitter, and then I don't look at it again, or I'll look at it again to post something else. But I give zero fucks about what anybody has commented or said because it's like, hey, I don't care. This is like, one, we're having fun, and 2, I'm not asking for your opinion here. This is mine.
Like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I thought, what? Because we have a lot of people that comment on our YouTube videos, and some of them don't really need a reply, but some of them might ask a question or two. So I was like, I'll just reply to these comments. Like, I'll just kind of be friendly, and not that I don't appreciate. All comments, I love them, but like, I'll kind of try to have a report back and forth, and it's just like I started, and I'm like, some of these replies I'm getting back, I'm not really having fun with this anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, I don't think so. Like one guy was like, this is all good and well, but you guys are a joke. I'm like, why? He's like, you haven't even talked about the undocumented workers. I'm like, good Lord, like really? Like that's what you want to hear in a horse racing picks podcast? Like I'm not. And then I was like, yeah, I don't know. I probably won't do this now.
I get a kick out of I think I did. I don't know why I had to get on there for something the other day, or I was sharing the podcast like through the like Apple podcast platform, and I had to get on there, and I was like, oh, let's see what our reviews are like on here, and it's always like, most of them are good. If you haven't, by the way, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a review, a good one or a bad one. I don't care.
Who cares?
But there's some that it's like, just insanity of like the bitching, about how we suck, or we don't talk about or there's a Paul, like we were talking about politics too much or something. It was like I went back and I was like, all right, I gotta go back into that show because I literally have no recollection. I mean,
same.
You and I are like 2 of the most non-political guys, and
yes.
I was like, what is he talking about? So it was like one like comment right when Trump was, I think, inaugurated, or it was somewhere right in that mix. We were just like joking around about when he was pardoning everybody, and then same thing with when the previous administration was pardoning everybody, and then that was it. Like it was like 30 seconds worth, not one way or another. But people are so damn sensitive that it obviously rubs some people the wrong way. But
yeah,
I'm kind of in the boat now where it's like if people are rubbed the wrong way, that means we're doing it right. That's what she said too.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Get the comments going on that one. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. Like when we had that Phillies Like It Fast at Firm shirt, that was kind of the beginning of my like, this is ridiculous. Like you guys are, this is ridiculous.
Listen, I'm so mad at the pussy versions of us. Like we
Me
should
too.
have said, we should have just been like, you know what, you don't like it, fuck off.
Right. We should have. Yep.
Instead, we were like, oh, we took it off.
Yep.
We got rid of them, and guess what? Everybody that ever saw that shirt loved it.
Yep.
The ones that had actual personalities, but man, that caught some heat at the time. And, we were so concerned about it too. We can't have negative, people not liking us. It's like, nah, whatever.
We should bring it back.
We should. I like it.
Okay.
It was if you guys don't, I don't have it on right now, but it literally is a shirt. It said Phillies like it fast and firm. I mean, that's great. It's great. Listen, we did a lot of those shirts with what is it, Old Smoke? Is that what they're called?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all pretty cool. Like I wear them, but like that one was like, yep, that one hit the mark. That one fits our billing. What we do. It kind of like having fun with it, and the wordplay and stuff. And so, yeah, we should make them red, and have them be that same line, and have Racing Dudes on the back.
Yep.
Or put Bartles W or B Bartles on the back. How about that?
William B.
What's his number? Does he have it? What's your number? And does he have a number on that jersey? I don't see it. We'll put your number on the back too.
Do you guys meet with other horse racing personalities? You'll have to clarify, but yeah, I mean, yes. Saratoga, we meet a lot of like Twitter personalities for sure. But yeah, I mean, we know most people, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, a lot of them have worked 35. Yeah. A lot of them we've worked with over the years. Some of them started, not started with us, but we've done some sort of like JK has done work with us in the past. He was in the wagering guides for a year or so. But we run into him. Honestly, I'll be honest, like I'm not afraid to say it. I would say 90% of those horse racing personalities, if you see them at the track, they don't give two shits about who you are. So most of them are just kind of like in their own little world. Now, not all of them. There are some really awesome guys and girls that we've met throughout the years that have been always kind to us. Jim Gluckson is one of my favorite people ever, regardless of racing, because he's always been kind to us and gave us like opportunities even when we were nothing, and he still does to this day. But there's not that many Glucksons out there.
Darren Rogers at Churchill Downs is fantastic.
Yep.
Like I love
great.
him. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Jim Gluckson's great. The freaking oh gosh, what's the guy's name? He's a nice guy. He's so nice I can't think of his name. That's great. Anyway, I'm not that. Joe Christofek's a really nice guy. Freaking Scully. James is it James Scully? I haven't seen him so long. James Scully, great guy. Scott Shapper the Capper. I can't think of what his actual last name is though. He's super nice. Can't think of his name. Scott something, isn't it?
No.
I just call him Shapper. That's why I don't know his name.
Shapper the Capper.
Super nice guy. Yeah.
What's his name from you're from our neck of the woods here in Oklahoma, and then does Del Mar, of course.
Oh yeah, John Lies, great guy.
John Lies is the man.
Or
he's always been real good with us, and honestly, Santa Anita as a whole has always been, as far as the racing office has always been really good to us, and Magic had a lot to do with that. Not really just because he was there for like a couple meets, like pretty much day in, day out. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, it's not all like there's certainly some bad apples and guys and girls that literally will go to the track or go to the Belmont and they never leave the press room. They're there and they're there on assignment and that's it. They're not having fun. It's all about a job, a task, and then they leave. And, I think we get yelled at every time we go into a press room. We haven't in a while because we don't go in them, but because we just have too much fun. We're too loud. We drink, we have fun, we bet. We are working, but it is possible to work and have fun at the same time. And, and then you're like, oh yeah, we don't want to be like these people. So
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird vibe. The last, it's never us. You ever notice you and I are never the ones that cause the problems,
no,
but we have to deal with the problems.
well, that's part of being a boss.
I guess that's right. Like you say, yeah, we get in trouble with the press box. It's never you or me. So it's like, I don't know.
I would say I've done some things. I've probably put my foot in my mouth a few times that didn't do us any favors, but nothing like Privman, him, and he definitely doesn't like me. No. But that's okay. That's a guy I can live with.
That's mutual. I have no problem saying that out loud.
But listen, I'll say this. We'll end it on this because the best thing about what we do is not like, hey, we get to meet, or we hey, I'm friends with so and so that you see on TV or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit about that. It's the people in this chat right now that are asking. It's the Bartles. We haven't met them. We will. It's Jason. It's gosh, I mean, it's freaking anyone that's worked with us. It's Magic. It's Paul. It's John White. It's Ryan. It's like these guys. Like it's Kelby. We don't know any of these people without what we're doing. And anyone, we have such a good time when we go to the track because people we're hanging out with is Vinny. It's
Vinny.
People, it's you guys that message us and say, hey, I see you're at the track. I'd like to meet you guys. And we're like, of course, let's hang out. Like, that's what's awesome about what we're doing, because this is such a fun sport, and it's more fun when you get to spend it with people that you're like-minded with, and so it's cool to be able to be like, hey, we have these perks and we know people and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's like that's not what it's about.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think that's why I love Santa Anita so much, because I have so many, like, quote unquote crew members. So you can say, like, last time I was at the track, I didn't even know Jason was there. He didn't know I was there. We ran each other's like 5 races later. We're standing there talking still, and like that's like Jesse. I haven't seen him in a while. Got to go up and see him at Saratoga. Like all kinds of, and people I'm going to totally forget too. Like a Colin from from over wherever the hell, Track Phantom or whatever, doing that doubling down. He's a nice guy. I always see him once a year. The Vinny, like you said, Ricky, all those guys, like we got a crew up there, and that's what makes it fun. Like that, having fun with your friends and betting, and just that's racing, right? And so for sure about that. So good times. Not sitting in the press box. So that's bad times, but outside is good times for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But it's been awesome. It's still awesome, and we will be. We were just talking about the other day. So my son is, has decided he decided almost 9 years ago to be born on Travers weekend, and so forever. And the other son chose to be on Pegasus weekend, and so they definitely didn't plan it very well. We didn't plan it very well for the business, but so I was going to be out of the Travers, and literally was like, hey, birthday weekend, we got to either move it the week before or week after. It's the Travers. I got to be at the Travers. So we will be at the Travers. Birthday party will be the week before. So if you guys want to show up for that, Halterman, you can, or not. But again, we will be at the Travers, pending any other ones, I'd say, but definitely the Travers. That's what I've circled that one on the, you see that race kind of forming. You're like, yeah, I'm going to that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't missed the Travers though in years.
It's been a long time. Yep. We'll be there. I'm afraid that might be our only other trip this year, but we'll definitely be there.
My last issue is it's like when you have a nice car and then you can't go back from having a nice, what I mean? Like you can't have a normal car after you have a nice car, because it's like, well, shit, I'm used to being so spoiled. How are we going to go back to Saratoga after sitting in the club level and just be like, we're just supposed to enjoy the day now? We're supposed to have fun at Saratoga without being in our club spots?
That's why they make alcohol.
Honestly, you probably got alcohol faster outside of that area than you did inside.
Other than the seat and the view, I couldn't, which is big, obviously. But like that Sunday, like I had just as much fun. So we'll be okay.
Well, yeah, like the biggest impact for us being old now is like race 10, 11, where you're like, I'm still so comfortable. Whereas normally you get to that end of the program, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like so tired. I'm exhausted. Definitely felt like the whole day was easier. Sitting down and having the betting right there, never having to leave. That part was nice for sure.
Yes.
But all right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Again, thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out with us. And we'll be back next week. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. And as always, good luck this weekend and good luck in the Haskell.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.